Did you know that over 90,000 persons in Japan are over 100 years old, making it the country with the highest number of centenarians per capita? Therefore, Japanese elders in their 70s and 80s are casually outliving everyone else on the planet, while Americans spend thousands on gym memberships and trendy fitness programs. However, when Harvard Medical School researchers examined these superagers for 5 years in a row, they discovered something shocking. Their diet wasn't the only factor. Genetics wasn't the cause. The key was concealed in plain sight in the 6 basic motions people perform daily. These are not workouts. They aren't exercises. Before brain scans showed something remarkable, Western experts first wrote off these movements as unimportant. Compared to their Western counterparts, Japanese elderly who engaged in these daily exercises demonstrated 40% less cognitive impairment. Decades later, their joints were still flexible. They had the balancing systems of 20-year-olds. It is the most underappreciated component of longevity in contemporary medicine, according to Stanford experts. These are precisely the 6 moves you are about to learn, beginning with the simplest and progressing to the most potent. However, I must caution you about number 1. 90% of Americans are unaware of this movement, which in a survey of 15,000 Japanese elders enhanced lifespan by an average of 7 years. Despite only taking 2 minutes and requiring no special equipment, neuroscientists have discovered that it concurrently activates more parts of the brain than any other physical activity they have tested. Tell us your age and where you're viewing us from in the comments section before we start. Please leave a remark below and we will read and respond to each and every one of them. Without further ado, let's begin at number 6. Don't be fooled by its ranking. Every Japanese elder bases their entire day on this. Sanpo, or the art of slow strolling, is number 6. Let's begin with something that Japanese elders regard as sacred medicine, despite the fact that it almost appears too easy to matter. Sanpo does more than only walk. It involves deliberate focus movement at around half the pace of a typical stroll. Seniors in Japan usually spend 20 to 30 minutes doing this each morning, frequently prior to breakfast. The intentional slowness and particular breathing patterns are the main distinctions from Western power walking. For every 2 steps you inhale, hold it for 2, and then exhale for 4. This establishes a rhythm that harmonizes your nervous and cardiovascular systems in ways that are simply impossible with quicker walking. Kyoto University conducted a research in 2019 that followed 3,000 seniors over 60 for 10 years. Compared to the control group, those who practiced Sanpo on a daily basis displayed 62% less arterial stiffness. Here's where it gets interesting. Their blood pressure decreased by an average of 12 points systolic and 8 points diastolic. Because of the slow pace, all 33 of your foot's joints are activated as your foot makes full contact with the ground. Your brain receives proprioceptive impulses from here, which enhance your spatial awareness and balance. Seniors in the West who practiced Sanpo for just 8 weeks had an average improvement of 45 seconds in their single-leg standing time. You must concentrate on rolling through your entire foot with each stride if you want to do Sanpo correctly. Roll through your arch with your heel first, then push off with your toes. Instead of looking down at your feet, keep your eyes directed about 6 feet ahead. Your hands should be relaxed, your fingers lightly curved, and your arms should swing naturally yet minimally. The breathing technique requires practice and is very important. To keep the rhythm, start by counting your steps. The greatest time to practice is in the morning because cortisol levels are naturally higher in the morning, which intensifies the soothing benefits. Because the moving belt interferes with the normal foot mechanics, avoid performing Sanpo on treadmills. Because different surfaces engage different stabilizing muscles, choose varied terrain whenever possible. According to research from the University of Tokyo, seniors who practiced Sanpo on grass or dirt walks had 20% more joint mobility than those who solely walked on concrete. If you've never done this before, start with just 10 minutes and work your way up to 30 minutes over a few weeks. We now go on to a technique that completely rebuilds your body. The 5th, stretching every day, Rajio Taiso. Japan's public radio system plays a soft piano tune every morning at 6:30 a.m. Millions of Japanese have been performing radio calisthenics, or Rajio Taiso, every day since 1928. However, don't be fooled by the term calisthenics. This has nothing to do with workouts in the West. 13 distinct stretches are executed in a fluid sequence in precisely 3 minutes and 15 seconds. Every movement keeps motion consistent while focusing on several muscle groups. No staying in one place. Don't strain. Simply constant, mild movement that keeps joints lubricated and the body flexible as a whole. Osaka Medical College researchers compared 8,000 adults over 60 who regularly performed Rajio Taiso to those who did not. The daily practitioners retained nearly complete range of motion in their hips and shoulders well into their 80s, saw a 55% reduction in chronic back pain, and experienced a 40% decrease in falls. It's amazing how the science behind this works. Your joints might produce up to 30% more synovial fluid after performing these dynamic stretches. This fluid functions similarly to oil on the hinges of your body. It thickens and shrinks without frequent mobility, causing the pain and stiffness that come with aging. Gentle arm rises at the beginning of the routine help to open the chest and increase breathing capacity. As you inhale, you raise both arms upward, and as you exhale, you drop them. Rotations of the arms that move the shoulder joints come next. The next step involves mild twisting motions that preserve spinal suppleness. Next, perform side bends to lengthen the muscles that connect your ribs. Gentle marching in place is one of the leg activities, which is followed by shallow squats that maintain hip and knee mobility. The cadence of the entire routine keeps the heart rate raised just enough to increase circulation without becoming taxing. Timing is crucial to maximizing advantages. Elders in Japan do this as soon as they wake up, frequently before consuming any food or liquids. This capitalizes on the natural growth hormone peaks that happen while you sleep. When these hormone levels are high, your muscles and connective tissues respond to stretching the best. The motions should never feel forced or bouncy, but rather like you're walking in warm honey. Focus on the arm rises and mild twists if you are unable to complete the entire routine, because they offer the greatest benefit with the least amount of work. Group Rajio Taiso is still used before work begins in many Japanese firms, and productivity studies reveal that employees who participate in this activity take 30% fewer sick days than those who do not. It's time to discover the movement that safeguards both your body and brain. To help more seniors view and subscribe to the video, please hit the like button if you have enjoyed it thus far. You won't want to miss our upcoming senior health tips videos, which are getting stronger every day. Fourth place, the Shinku Zuwari, or deep squat. Elderly individuals can be seen conversing or caring for plants while pleasantly relaxing in a deep squat position with their heels down on the ground in any Japanese park or garden. They won't feel uncomfortable if they stay in this posture for 10, 20, or even 30 minutes. The majority of Westerners over 60, however, are unable to maintain this posture for even 10 seconds. Flexibility isn't the only factor here. Chair-sitting cultures have deprived us of a basic human position, the deep squat rest. Because they practice it every day and typically spend 20 to 30 minutes in this position spread out throughout the day, Japanese seniors are able to preserve this talent throughout their lives. 5,000 seniors were tracked for 12 years in a groundbreaking study conducted by the Tokyo Metropolitan Institute of Gerontology. The likelihood of needing assisted living was 70% lower for those who could stay in a deep squat for at least 2 minutes. They were still able to move their hips enough for their daily tasks. Compared to people who couldn't squat, they were able to preserve their independence for an average of 9 years longer. The importance of this is explained by the biomechanics. By allowing the hip joint to move freely, the deep squat position helps elders avoid the capsular constriction that keeps them in shuffling gaits. It keeps the ankles flexible, which is important for balance. It fortifies the pelvic floor muscles, which regulate the function of the bladder. Most significantly, it decompresses the spine, which permits fluid that is rich in nutrients to enter the discs that separate the vertebrae. Harvard researchers found that societies with a high prevalence of deep squats have 60% fewer chronic lower back pain cases and 80% fewer hip replacement surgery. Start by squatting with your back against a wall for support in order to acquire this skill. Maintain a shoulder-width distance between your feet and point your toes slightly outward. Allow your knees to track over your toes as you slowly lower yourself. Put a rolled towel underneath your heels if you are unable to flatten them at first. Start with a 30-second hold and increase the duration as your mobility improves. Frequency over duration is crucial. Attempting to maintain a single 5-minute squat is not as beneficial as performing 5 distinct 1-minute squats throughout the day. Elderly Japanese people frequently squat while gardening, watching TV, or even waiting for buses. They've incorporated it so well into their everyday routine that it doesn't call for any extra time or effort. Whenever feasible, make use of the position in a functional manner. Squat down and sort low shelves. From this vantage point, play with your grandchildren. Instead of bending over to tie shoes, take a moment to rest in a squat. The mobility that keeps you independent is maintained and the movement pattern is reinforced with each functional use. The procedure that rewires your nervous system for stability over decades follows next. The third is ippon Aashi, standing on one leg. Although it may seem ridiculous, Japanese doctors recommend single leg standing in the same way that Western doctors recommend medication. As a preventative measure, patients over 60 are instructed to stand on one leg for 1 minute twice a day. Because the evidence for it is so strong, health insurance in Japan covers it. The 15-year study of aging at Fukuoka University followed 12,000 people. Daily single-leg standing practice reduced hip fractures by 68% and hospitalization-related falls by 75%. The motor cortex and cerebellum, regions essential for balance and coordination, showed more gray matter on brain scans. To stay balanced when standing on one leg, your body performs thousands of tiny adjustments per minute. The entire neuromuscular system is strengthened by these modifications, not just the muscles. The sensors that inform your brain where your body is in space, called proprioceptors, become overactive. Your inner ear's vestibular system becomes more responsive. As your brain combines data from several systems at once, your visual processing speeds up. The typical protocol begins with a straightforward step. For safety, stand close to a wall or a stable chair. Raise one foot only a single inch above the floor. Keep your gaze fixed on a stationary object 10 feet away. Try to hold the position for 30 seconds while taking regular breaths. Repeat after switching legs. Close your eyes for a new challenge as you get better. Your other balancing mechanisms will have to work harder as a result of the removal of visual input. In order to obtain 2 minutes of practice during an already existing daily routine, Japanese elders frequently advance to doing this while brushing their teeth. Consistency is guaranteed by the timing, which establishes an automatic habit loop. More experienced practitioners balance and add tiny motions. Turn your head left and right slowly. Lift your arms above your head. Use the foot that has been raised to make little circles. Different facets of balance and coordination are tested in each version. Progressive overload is the secret. Increase to 45 seconds after 30 seconds is comfortable. Try standing on a folded towel to provide an unsteady surface. After closing your eyes is tolerable, the brain's capacity to create new connections, known as neuroplasticity, is maintained by this continuous growth, which also avoids plateauing. Researchers at the Mayo Clinic discovered that standing time on one leg is really a more accurate indicator of longevity than either blood pressure or cholesterol. Mortality rates for those over 60 who can stand on one leg for 30 seconds are comparable to those of people 10 years younger. Now get ready for a movement whose consequences nearly appear miraculous. Second place, Seiza Hanka, floor-sitting transitions. This information about Japanese aging will astound you. The typical Japanese person over 70 goes from standing to sitting on the floor and back up more than 20 times every day. When they eat, drink tea, watch TV, or interact with others, they sit on the floor. Every transition is a sophisticated full-body action that preserves coordination, strength, and flexibility in ways that no exercise in the gym can match. 10,000 seniors participated in a large study by the University of Tsukuba that contrasted individuals who frequently sat on the floor with those who exclusively used chairs. The floor sitters could get up off the ground without help far into their 90s, and they had 50% more hip flexibility and 40% more lower body strength. Here's the startling bit, though. They consistently scored 15% higher on cognitive tests. The prefrontal cortex, the brain's executive function region, is activated by the intricate motor planning needed for floor transitions, the researchers found. Sequential movement planning, balance control, strength modulation, and spatial awareness must all work together to safely descend to the ground and rise again. In essence, it's a full-body workout that passes for a routine daily activity. The conventional approach begins with both feet together. You kneel by lowering one knee to the floor, then the other, and finally you return to your heels. You can then switch between several floor-sitting positions, such as side or cross-legged sitting. Bringing one foot forward into a lunge, pushing through that leg to stand, and then bringing the other foot to meet it is the opposite of how you rise. Although it seems easy, this calls for extraordinary strength and control. Start with transitions that are supported to develop this skill. As a transitional step, use a low stool or ottoman. As you lower yourself to a kneeling position, place your hands on the stool and take them off once you're stable. You can do the action without assistance after a few weeks of using minimal hand support. To lessen the strain on the knees, start by practicing on a yoga mat or a soft carpet. Perfection is not as important as frequency. There are substantial advantages to even 2 or 3 complete transitions per day. Elders in Japan do not consider this to be exercise. They just live that way. They've had this talent since they were little, never letting the pattern falter. Patience is crucial for individuals who are relearning it later in life. Smooth transitions may take months to complete, but the rewards are remarkable. According to studies, one of the best indicators of lifespan is the capacity to get up off the ground without the need of hands. This is the moment you've been waiting for, the king of all moves. Brazilian researchers discovered that those who were able to accomplish this lived an average of 6 years longer than those who couldn't. It's this. The movement that altered the way scientists believed they understood exercise and aging. Even though it only requires a basic hand towel, Japanese centenarians attribute their vitality to this technique more than any other. You stretch your arms in front of you while holding a towel in both hands. Then you twist the towel in a particular way that causes your entire body to contract isometrically. However, referring to it as a towel twist is like to referring to the ocean as a puddle. In 99% of conventional exercises, muscle fibers that are inactive are activated by this movement. Tohoku University researchers recorded muscle activation in unexpected places when they affixed electrodes to participants performing Tenui Hibiki, fire from deep spinal stabilizers. The foot's intrinsic muscles were activated. Even the muscles in the face were more active. For 20 years, 15,000 Japanese elders were monitored in the study that stunned the medical community. The life expectancy was 7 years higher for those who practiced Tenui Hibiki for just 2 minutes every day. Up until an average age of 92, their grip strength, the single best indicator of mortality, remained above the independence level. They were able to preserve bone density comparable to those who were 20 years younger. The results of brain scans showed something much more remarkable. New brain pathways were formed between the two hemispheres as a result of the bilateral cooperation needed for correct towel twisting. Improved memory, quicker reaction times, and noticeably lower dementia rates were all displayed by the participants. Holding a rolled hand towel horizontally at shoulder height with your hands about 18 inches apart is the first step in the technique. Pulling outward as though attempting to tear the towel apart creates stress. With your hips facing forward, carefully twist your entire torso to the right while keeping this tension. Your core, not your arms, is the only source of the twist. Return gently to the center and twist to the left after holding for 3 seconds at maximal rotation. What's important is the ongoing friction. In essence, you're putting yourself under pressure, which makes all of your stabilizing muscles contract. Throughout, your breathing must stay constant. Breathe in during the center return and out during the twist. The vagus nerve is stimulated by this breathing pattern, which sets off a parasympathetic reaction that lowers inflammation all over the body. The scalability is what makes it beautiful. Beginners may employ slight twists and little strain. More experienced practitioners are able to produce deeper rotations and a great deal of tension. Some elderly Japanese people sit or even lie down to do variations. The fundamentals are still the same: maintain control, build tension, and synchronize movement and breathing. The reason this works so effectively is explained by molecular biology. Myokines are unique proteins that muscles release during contraction, and the isometric contractions cause them to be released. By lowering inflammation, increasing insulin sensitivity, and even encouraging the development of new brain cells, these myokines function as medicines. More myokines are produced each minute by the towel twist than by any other movement that was examined. The effects are amplified by timing. Elders in Japan usually do this right after waking up and again before going to bed. The day's neurological system is activated during the morning session. Better sleep and recuperation are encouraged by the evening session. The complete advantages can be obtained in just 1 minute in the morning and 1 minute at night. Nothing spectacular, just a simple towel. No membership in a gym, no intricate choreography. However, this little activity has a greater impact on all bodily systems than hours of traditional exercise. The discovery of new technology or supplements is ultimately not what is driving the transformation in our understanding of aging. It's about appreciating the deep wisdom and movements that have been subtly performed for generations by Japanese elders. These 6 motions are more than just workouts. They are a comprehensive system that keeps the human body functioning normally throughout life. They concurrently target neurological health, strength, flexibility, balance, and coordination. They don't need any special gear, attire, or time set apart for exercise. They become as natural as breathing and blend in perfectly with everyday life. The research is overwhelming and unambiguous. Individuals who continue these habits of mobility age fundamentally differently from those who do not. They continue to be independent. They continue to be cognitively capable. They don't just endure their last decades, they relish them. You have an option. You can keep doing exercise according to Western paradigms, which view aging as a disease that needs to be combated. Alternately, you might embrace these easy movements that view aging as a normal phase that should be handled with grace. We have learned from the Japanese. Their method has been validated by science. The only thing left to decide is whether you'll start changing the way you age today or tomorrow. We'd like to hear from you now. In your opinion, which of these movements would be most beneficial to you at this time, and why? Has your strength or balance changed as a result of attempting one of these Japanese practices before? Please leave your thoughts and experiences in the comments section below. I'm here to offer you wellness and health advice, and we love to hear them. Remember to enable notifications and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any crucial advice. I appreciate you watching.